me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
फुल फ्लेम नहीं आ रहा
Hello, can you hear me?
I did mute her.
Hello.
Just tell her you are on mute.
Sir, I can't hear anybody. Can you hear me or not?
Yes. Please go on. Yeah, please go on. Fine, pencils.
I can't hear anyone, so I'm not sure if I am audible to everybody. I'm Hello? Hello, sir, can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
You can.
I can hear you, but there is some problem here. Right now, flame is presenting. Maybe you can present after that. We'll just call it. Yeah. See how it works. Can you present now?
That's fine. I can always pick up later.
Chair. Yeah. You can start your presentation. We are postponing flame presentation. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Can you hear me? If you can hear me, I'm progressing. At the outset, thank you very much for this. Which was, sir? Can they hear me? Okay. I'm not able to hear anyone. Please excuse me. But if you can hear me, please. Okay, we can hear. Okay, fine. Then I'm continuing. Okay, I'm continuing. So thank you very much, and I would like to take this opportunity to first thank England Landstep for the opportunity that we have had from Tata Institute of Social Sciences to work on this project. We are now as we move into the project, we are now. This project, which was started by us, the purpose of this study that we did from Tata Institute of Social Sciences was to bridge the institutional, was to build the institutional gap that is in understanding land administration and also to strengthen capacities around land governance and administration. It attempts to. One minute. Can you hear me? Can you hear? So bad. This is. Can you hear?
Yes, they can hear you.
Okay. It attempts to bridge the institutional and knowledge gaps by engaging with government officials and land practitioners. In our part, the work that we have done is it reports the work that we have done at Tata Institute of Social Sciences between December 2024 and October 2025, highlighting the main objectives of the study and what we have achieved so far. As we would like to emphasize that our project that we were doing was aimed to develop a comprehensive understanding of the administrative and governance structure of land in India by taking the case of Maharashtra. It facilitated cross-cultural, as part of this, we attempted to facilitate cross-sectoral dialogue between academic institutions, government departments and practitioners. The purpose was to design and deliver structured capacity building programs for local government administrators. This was one of the deliverables that we were aimed today, building program. As part of this, we conducted a broad-based research to inform policy and also to develop teaching material for structure for government officials as well as for students and officials. So this was our year. The main objectives that we did, activities we did was first we conducted roundtable conferences, then we had field visits in the western part of Maharashtra. Our focus was on western parts and here. And we visited two parts of Maharashtra. That was one was close to Mumbai city and one was a little along the western coastline towards the western side towards Goa. As part of this, we have engaged with officials at the subdivisional level and at the Zilla Parishad level and also government officials to understand the land and the nitty-gritty of land administration. We conducted capacity building workshop for officials as well as developed training modules, which we would like, which can become part of the program that once we submit them. We also conducted to finalize a process mapping exercise. A process mapping exercise was done to specifically understand the complexity of land administration, particularly understanding the type of land structures that are there within the land administration side, and to understand what type of processes and how does this process happen between moving forward from from static the types of map and the actual the working maps that we are having with us. So between land administration and development projects that we do. So this was the purpose of this process mapping exercise that we did. And then we are also now working towards a research paper which is on digitization and working on digitization. Beyond digitization is our paper, and the focus is on understanding the need for inclusive land governance in reforming Indian land administration. So that's the focus of the paper this paper is on the final stages, and we will be soon moving towards its publication and submission to England. So, as part of the first activity that we did, it was in December 2020, we identified the key themes that needed to be identified for moving ahead in preparing the teaching modules and also understanding the land. So, constitutional provisions were understood, conflicts surrounding land and property was that, land as a multi-dimensional concept was identified, challenges to land governance and administration were looked into, and complexities and value systems of land and land act. And finally, the intersector between the biodiversity, climate change, and community engagement in resource governance. These were the themes around which this round table was organized with experts and practitioners to identify what are the thematic priorities that we would, as a project, take into consideration. The field study that we did when we did in Palghar, that's the western part of it. As part of this, the team engaged with the local government institution as well as looked into the land record departments and the revenue department as well as agriculture and forest. The visit also highlighted the need for looking into the critical interdepartmental coordination challenges and also the administrative overlaps and socio-ecological complexities of land management, particularly in tribal and rural contexts. The engagement with the local government focused on collaborative engagement that was held with Zilla Parishads across the western coast to strengthen how institutional partnerships could be strengthened and to ensure representation from various administrations. So the focus was, we covered the western part of it, looked at Raigad, Ratnagiri, Palghar, Sindhudurg, Thane. These were the blocks, that part which we covered as part of our movement. The capacity building workshop that we had in April, in April 2021, where we had looked at a topic on land administration and governance. The main topics that was identified were land digitization, formal laws and local governance system, right-based land policies, tenure, security, landlessness, strengthening administrative skills, and capacity building and partnerships with CSRs. The feedback that we received as part of this was very positive, and it gave us enough insights in developing the training modules that we worked on to for as part of land administration. The training modules that we developed were based on this feedback from the workshops that we did and the field visits and the consultations that we conducted in the 2-day workshop. We identified that the training modules had to be in two forms, two parts. One module would only look into land administration and management, land management lesson that would target the subdivisional officers, that's SDOs, Tahsildars, the revenue officer, Naib Tahsildars, circle officers, Talatis, and of other revenue departmental officials. Then the other module was for the development management. That is for the targeted, the local government officials, chief COs, deputy COs, block development officials, assistant block officers, and other administrative cadres who were involved in the development along the development side of in the rural. So the development, this was the focus. Our the visit that we did, it was part of the process mapping exercise that we did to understand the institutional and the complexities of land administration. This was understood by doing a deep process mapping exercise in partnership with the officials that we did with in the western part of Maharashtra, trying to understand how land acquisition processes are done, what is the institutional role, and the inclusivity in the administrative decision-making process. So the main focus was to capture the practical challenges faced by revenue and departmental development departments. That was the point. One was the revenue and one is the development department. Because what we understood was very often both are looked at in the same lens. And it's very important that the lens is separated. One is the revenue side and one is the development department. So as part of this, we also had a with the community. What type of community participation and transparency mechanisms need to be understood while talking about land administration and governance. And also the objective was to identify some of the best practices that we saw in interdepartmental coordination as part of this. Interdepartment coordination. So this is what we focused during the visit. And what we are now in this process is we are now finalizing and working towards this finalization of our research of the paper that we have worked around, which looks at the question of beyond yes, there's a lot of digitization happening, and digitization of land has happened. We have had the Swamitha is coming up, the other types of it, but in this process, it's very important to understand what are the emerging challenges and how we can go beyond digitization and understand the complexities that underlie the systemic challenges embedded within India's land administration system. These include, in part of this paper, we also look into that these include not only understanding the entrenched mismatches between formal and informal land records, that's we call it the formal land records, and the lived territorial realities that are seen at the local level, at the actual operational level, the institutional fragmentation, and the exclusion that can be seen of land and of local and indigenous voices from decision making. So these are the 4 angles that this paper is building up from this, and we are looking at these things. The main thing that the paper argues that we are looking at a condition where we have the formal land records, which is static. Then we have the lived realities of lived territorial realities, not just lived realities, it's the lived territorial realities and the institutional fragmentation that we are seeing around us. So this is where, in this context, this paper examines how we can move towards a more system of the ecosystem approach, where we can look at land administration as an interconnected system of institutions, technology and infrastructure and governance across actors. So this is where the feedback is happening based on the paper. The key achievements that we have done so far that I would like to highlight in this one is that we have strengthened the collaboration and partnerships. We acknowledge and we recognize the strong collaboration support that we have received from Landstack and the partnership between TIS, Landstack and the government departments with whom we have worked across. We developed a comprehensive understanding of the administrative and governance dimensions of land in Maharashtra. This has we have facilitated a dialogue between academic institutions and the government departments and practitioners. We have designed and delivered a capacity building program for local government administrators, which is with us, finalizing the beyond digitization research paper, and most importantly, our work with the Landstack has given us the base for building a course. One, for our master's program, we have developed a program for our master's in our master's student, where students do a program on land administration. And second is we have developed a program on land administration and governance in Global South, which we have received from the India Technical and Economic Cooperation Program, or from the Ministry of External Affairs ITEC program for government officials from Global South. Thank you.
So thank you very much.
And way forward, we look forward is implementing and executing these training modules, publishing the academic research paper that we have developed, and designing a full-fledged course we have already started it. We would like to design a full-fledged course on the masters for the master's students at this. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much, Madhushri ma'am. I don't know if you can hear us.
Can I stop sharing?
Thanks. You can I think mute her because she is not being able to hear us. Okay, so thank you very much for giving an update on
Stop sharing.
Just mute.
Can I stop sharing? How do I stop sharing?
Yes,
Stop sharing?
yes, they can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, they can.
Yeah, can you just mute?
Can you hear me? I've shared this with you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I think with the activities of TIS as one of the partners with Landstack, now over to back to Chaitanya Flame, hearing what has been happening there. So.
So I would like to thank Madhushri ma'am for her presentation and for her description of the ecosystemic approach, because that gives me a good sort of contextual background to situate Flame's more sectoral approach to these things. I think that we are much more real estate focused like that, rather than the broader sort of ecosystemic approach. I think we all have a fair idea of what England is by now. And I'll just proceed with the next slide. So our motivations for joining in England was that we are a sort of the liberal arts school. We are interdisciplinary, we are multidisciplinary in terms of our approach, and we felt that we could make a useful contribution to capacity building across various levels as far as land literacy and land governance is concerned. And we envision building capacity along 3 levels. Fundamental understanding through a MOOC course, which is up on Swayam right now, and my colleague Prasad spoke about it yesterday. And we also plan to do theme specific academic modules under a land matters course architecture, which I can talk about maybe in the Q&A if there's interest. And the third part which I'll focus on, which was the core of our capacity building exercise, was the executive education program, which was basically sort of mapping professional land related roles and then developing a targeted practice oriented training program. Next slide please. So our approach is based on certain principles. We are pragmatic, solution oriented. We would like to think that we are locally relevant and hopefully nationally impactful. We are data driven and we are evidence based in terms of how we approach these things, and by evidence based I mean we are very receptive to stakeholder inputs, whether it's from the real estate sector or whether it's from experts at Landstack, etc. And we believe in timely knowledge production and dissemination, which is why this executive education course that we've designed is going to be featured for the first time, run for the first time on 28th November. I think it's a 2-day program. Next slide, please. So how do you go from 0 to 1 in terms of having sort of a nascent land research group and then going on to building an executive education program in, let's say, 8 to 9 months of active efforts? We began by observing the real estate sector in Pune and the dynamism that was going on there, and we noticed very rapid growth in that sector, and we were wondering as to whether how that would translate in terms of land acquisition, property registration, etc. So things: architecture, planning, project management and construction backgrounds. And then we also organized a 1-day workshop which brought together experts from real estate, law, planning and government institutions. Next slide. So it was a 3-pronged approach, and before I proceed with explaining that, we also did sort of a mapping of what already existed. So we observed the sector, but we also tried to map the various sort of land education focused executive programs that existed. So we looked at what their focus was, what their content was, and what were the lacunae in these programs. What were the areas of opportunity? What were the gaps that our program could maybe fill in for and populate? Next slide. So here's another summary of the programs that we mapped and focused on and looked at the content summary and the various sort of gaps in the program. Next slide. So back to the 3-pronged approach that I spoke about earlier. So these were the insights from the interviews. We learned that for business development roles, there was a real need for knowledge as far as land valuation, legal risks, regulatory frameworks, and access to real-time market information. And what emerged from our interviews with these various business development experts and academics was that there was a need for foundational knowledge on land, and there was also a need for practical focus on development land management processes. So that was a big learning. And next slide. We also sort of tried to validate what came out in the interviews with the job roles that we were seeing in the business development sector, and it turns out that the insights from the interview were indeed correlating with the skills that were required for business development roles in the real estate sector. So there was also validation in terms of what the job market was requiring for such roles. Next slide. The second part of the 3-pronged approach that we used was the surveys, and so these are the priority areas that came out from the survey of 30 young professionals that we conducted. So particularly noteworthy is the need for knowledge on land documents and title verification, and for knowledge to be imparted on planning frameworks and land potential. Next slide. These were the learning themes that emerged from a systematic analysis of the 30-odd surveys that we conducted. Next slide. And the third part of the 3-pronged approach was the Land Matters workshop, a 1-day workshop / symposium that we conducted, where experts from diverse areas, planning, public administration, advisory services, and real estate management were assembled. And there was a very sort of dynamic format to the workshop, wherein there was a fireside dialogue, there were master classes, there was a roundtable discussion to try and bring out what are the critical sort of industry gaps, what are the critical knowledge gaps as far as the real estate sector is concerned. Next slide. So here is the itinerary for the workshop that we conducted. Next slide. Next. And these were the key gaps that came out from that one-day brainstorming. There was legal ambiguity in land ownership, which is a major sort of bottleneck. There were persistent field challenges in terms of interpreting documents, the key sort of foundational documents. There was a mismatch between land policy reforms and their on-ground application. There was lack of structured training among real estate professionals, and there was limited awareness of how zoning restrictions, timelines, etc. impact land viability. So there were some critical sort of gaps that came out of that one-day workshop. Next. So these were the professional development domains that we identified as learning from that one-day workshop and the insights that emerged from it. Legal and regulatory literacy, analyzing land potential, which includes valuation, compliance knowledge, category, which includes regulatory thresholds, deal structuring and negotiation, and project monetization and financing. Next slide. And so the conclusion, sort of putting all of this together, we identified sort of two verticals along which executive education programs could be designed. One of which is legal literacy, or one might even call it as land literacy, and the other vertical is technical analysis of land potential. And you can see that the insights, the interviews, the surveys, the workshop discussions, combined with our broader observations, have sort of come together in the design of the two verticals. Next slide. And so this is the program proposal that is trying to flesh out these two verticals in a much more detailed, granular fashion. Next slide. After this. Yeah, and so this is the final itinerary for the executive education program. This aligns with vertical 1, which is land literacy or / legal literacy. And so we've tried to sort of, and this is our first time doing it, so obviously there's going to be a lot of learning potential here. But we've tried to do our best with the time that we have. We've tried to bring in various experts over a 3-day period, and we've tried to cover as many aspects as we can regarding the legal aspects of land. And hopefully, we are targeting an audience of 30, and hopefully we are able to achieve that audience, which I think would be a decent effort for a first time run of this course. And hopefully the learnings will feed into subsequent iterations of this course, where it will get better, both in terms of design as well as content. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Advani. So, in the interest of time, we will, leave questions and comments for the end. I now request Shekhar sir, basically.
Luckily, I worked in both the areas of the legal literacy as well as technical problems related to land issues. Whatever. Yes. About land literacy, almost 15 of my books are related to land literacy, educating farmers on very small land issues. And being in revenue administration for more than 37 years, I've been dealing with most of the tenurial and other issues of land, complexities of land. Let me tell you one or two simple examples. Now somebody was talking about community lands and grazing lands, right? It has almost lost relevance in western part of Maharashtra because no animals are there with the farmers, right? So that is how the field of land is getting changed every day. And let me quote you another example. One person from Mumbai bought land. He wanted to set up one hotel. So he got hold of some agent, and the only requirement he told was, I want land facing national highway, and it should have at least at the adjoining to national highway, I want a width of say 400 meters. The moment he bought the land, 11 acres of land, he spent more than highway. So half of the land became unviable for any construction. So I personally feel from my experience that illiterate person or farmers are more literate than the most educated kind of people as far as land is concerned. So that has been my experience so far, and therefore the entire complexity of land to be brought into a curriculum or a course is a difficult task. What I would suggest, my only would be, for all the sessions we have planned, we should discuss about some cases, some caselets to be discussed, because those will give very practical approach to each of the session that you have planned. Secondly, beyond digitization, definitely yes. In fact, there is no research paper as to whether the land reforms, agrarian reforms have helped the society, or we have been dragged, uh, uh, behind because of these reforms. Nobody knows that. I personally, at personal level, I tried to search some data about this, but the data is not available. We need some empirical studies. For example, the landowner, the biggest landowner in 1950s, who lost his entire land of say 1,000 acres to land tenancy. And if I compare the economic situation of tenants vis-a-vis that landlord, or one who migrated to Mumbai, and now his son's getting educated in Western somewhere, some country, and he is way ahead than the tenant who became owner of the land. And that seems to be the picture. So we need some empirical studies to prove such complex land issues, and therefore the course plan is quite good.